And good morning, Hoosier Nation, and welcome to another victorious edition of Hoosier Morning After. This is Hoosier Morning After Ohio State, and with a little bit of catch-up, as we've missed a few games on this, covering it on this show, so we'll catch up a little bit on some comments and everything to that. But Indiana, yesterday in the late afternoon game, goes on to defeat Ohio State 66-60, taking the final regular season record of Indiana to 19-12 on the season, 10-10 in the Big Ten, right where we kind of, towards the end, we're hoping IU would at least be able to reach. This game was quite the battle, quite an ugly game, quite an ugly shooting game as well. Lid on the basket for IU in the first half, missing just way too many layups and just abysmal shooting overall, just 30% in the first half. And despite that, IU, thanks to more offensive rebounds and sticking with it, would only go down 4 into the halftime. Second half continued kind of that battle that was going on and was led kind of by these seniors on senior night that didn't want to lose on their senior night. IU was able to get some of their shooting to come around a little bit, couple that with some great defensive additions from both Rice and Anthony Leal on Thornton for Ohio, limiting him to just 9 points. But it was that pressure that held Ohio State to just 4 points in the last 5 minutes, and IU would score 15 in those. Two really big threes coming from Trey Galloway in that section of time. The second one was from well beyond that great little pull-up while Thornton was on him, well beyond the NBA three-point line, putting IU into a 2-possession lead that they would not relinquish, finally going down as the fouls would happen. And Ohio State would try to extend the game as much as possible. But what a swan song, what a final punctuation point by Trey to finish off his final game in Assembly Hall and take IU to the victory on their senior night. Thank you for being here with me. We'll see if Martha's able to get up and get on with us here. This is obviously the daylight savings edition of Hoosier Morning After. I don't know if you're one like me and is someone that early rises anyway, so this kind of push is great. Makes you feel at least like you're sleeping in a little bit more. But thank you for being here with me. I'm your host, Chad Schwartzkopf. We'll see if Martha pops in with us as well on this wonderful senior night. I've been searching and only seen little snidbits here and there. It was disappointing to see that I couldn't find or couldn't hear the seniors speaking. I do not like that format that they went with this one. I don't know if that was something that Coach didn't want to have to speak, so that was a recorded message. But I at least wanted to hear the seniors themselves speak. I don't like that. I don't like the way they did that. We at least got Leal out there. Gave a little shout out to if you're buying a home, find him. He's your realtor. I like that. I dug that, and seeing that he got emotional there, and he's a kid that's really poured his heart and soul into this program. So great to see him at least get out there and speak. I know Trey technically already spoke last year. Would have been great to hear from Goody and Balo. We haven't heard from much because he hasn't gotten into the press conferences too much this year either. But I don't like that format. I would like to. I hope we change that. I hope that was just a one-off situation because of where we are currently with the program and the things going on, the awkwardness. They were trying to avoid some of that, but I didn't appreciate that. I didn't like that, and equally so, listened to a little bit of Assembly Call. Ryan there was ranting about that a little bit on their program, and I echo his things as well. He made a great point. We've come into the situation where finding these senior speeches and listening to them has been a difficult thing if you're not there in person, and that needs to change next year. We need to I'll volunteer. I'll come up and set up a system to stream it on YouTube or something like that for them. But we want to hear. We want to hear that. We are Hoosier Nation, and we cherish these players, and especially the seniors that stick around for 4 years and usually give their heart and soul for the team. we want to hear from them. We want to allow them to speak. We want them to thank their loved ones and stand up there with their support team, and take their swan song, take their bow. So poor move from the program there, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that one bit. That was not good. Moving to lighter, greener pastures, I will say, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about each senior first, and you got to talk about Trey Galloway. He is IU's best player right now. He is the player on IU's team that has to play every minute he can. It's very different. This team looks very different, especially on the offensive end when he is not on the court. 16 points in this game. 6 for 15 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3. Again, all 3 of those threes that he hit were just huge. 6 assists, only 2 turnovers. And we have to obviously shout out as well, 1,000 career points, over 1,000 career points. Great for him. Great for him to have that. I think he also has most games played for Indiana as well. Obviously, slightly asterisk there because he's had an extra year that many in the past have not been able to get to have. But again, the offense just looks stagnant when he's not on the court. And while it was true in this game when he was out in the second half with foul trouble, the miss of him on the offensive side was less impactful than it has been in the past, because I think the team stepped up on the defense when he was out. You really saw Miles step it up on Thornton with the ball pressure, and Galloway Leal as well did really well in this game on Thornton. And that really kind of counteracted the lack of offense that Indiana wasn't getting from having Galloway in there during that little stretch in the second half. That was kind of a moment for me, at least, when the game was kind of a little bit more in balance. That concerned me for IU, and concerned me is that Ohio State would maybe get on a little run and stuff. And as we have seen, especially in the more recent past, IU struggles to close out games at the end. And this was a game where IU did the good things. They did the right things at the end to shut the other team down defensively, and then take care of the ball offensively and find good shots. So that was great to see. And tip of the hat, obviously, to Trey Galloway. He is instrumental on this team. And the next person I think that needs to be spoken of, obviously, is Anthony Leal. And he is that catalyst for Trey Galloway. You just can tell they've got that connection. They're best friends for life. They are going to be buddies forever. And his energy, Leal's energy, and his support just puts Trey at ease. You see Trey play much more freely and confident when Leal is out there. He is going to be missed. Leal's going to be missed, and I'm just so happy for the impact that he's been able to supply this team with at the end of his career here at IU. He's really been the difference maker. I will be left forever wondering what if with Leal. Earlier in his career, he hadn't had much run. He hasn't got much run out there. He hasn't played that many minutes. He struggled offensively, defensively. He struggled with lateral movement and everything like that. So he often got buried down the bench and wouldn't play very much. And this year we were able to find that out of him. His defense has stepped up big time, and he's been that nagging player as well, that gnat for IU that you hate if you are the opponent, but you love on our end. And this game was just a great example of that, the great impact that he was able to do, being the defender that he was on Thornton, having the ability to bring the best out of his teammates that he was around with, and just, again, being that pestering guy to the opponents. And there is something as well, and maybe you notice this, maybe you don't. When the game was going on, I actually rewound one play at one moment just to show my wife when it happened. There's those moments where in games players get called for a foul, or there's a dead ball whistle or whatever, and players will just have the basketball in their hand. Will just take a shot, like a free shot, a warm-up shot, a practice shot, or whatever you want to call it. And Leal, being the pestering guy that he is, if you have ever noticed this, whenever that situation is happening and it's the opponent taking a shot, Leal is always there ready to reject it. He'll run to the rim, try to reject it. And that was a moment, there were 2 moments, I believe, even in this game, where one of them was with, let me find his name real quick. Ohio State's really good freshman that was hitting those threes, doing really well. Not Thornton, Mobley. Got fouled beyond the 3-point line. Leal wasn't anywhere near the basket, and he was going up like he was going to try a shot, and you saw Leal run to the basket. Play's dead. Everyone else is just relaxing, ready for the game to start, but Leal is still on. Leal is still there. He is still competing, and he is ready to reject and not allow you. You're not going to get a practice shot on my court, on my basket, when that whistle is dead and everything like that. I love that tenacity about him. That really there encapsulates him. He is always on. He's always going to fight. He is always pushing for that team. I love those moments. Look out for those. If you haven't noticed that, if you haven't seen that, keep your eye out for those moments, because I love seeing that out of him. And that's, again, that's just, to me, that's just synonymous for what he supplies and what he is as a player for this team. So tip of the hat for Anthony Leal. He'll be greatly missed. That Bloomington kid, fellow Bloomington South Panther, as I am an alum as well. Just always hope you can find the next Anthony Leal to be on your team and be someone that can impact the team like he does. And someone that I feel like has a similar impact and is another what if for this team, and continuing to speak about seniors, is Luke Goody. Luke Goody's been such a great impact on this team and has been one that's always been vocal. You heard the stories earlier in the season, especially it first kind of came out when the Atlantis lull was happening, of Goody getting on the guys and really trying to be that leader for the team. And he has been. He's been that vocal leader, holding guys accountable, hollering at them, being that tough competitor teammate. In this game, really kind of shocked when I looked at the box score this morning. A pretty quiet third highest score on the team in this game, with 11 points, 1 for 7 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, but 8 free throws, 8 made free throws. And then, which I think is why it feels quiet for me, because during normal play, he only made that 1 3. And then it was also what was really impactful in this game from him was his rebounds. He had 8 rebounds on this game, tied for first on the rebounding stat for this team. Really even funny to the point where how aggressive he was getting to the basket, where one of those rebounds came at the expense of a teammate. I forgot who it was, but he pushed another IU player out of the way to be able to go up and get it himself. But so I love that. And it's been that kind of added effort and leadership that has been a great part of bringing him to this team and bringing this team around towards the end of this season. Just so thankful that he chose to close out his college career with IU. Really wish in the end we would have gone after him sooner, right out of high school. But hey, better late than never is what you always say. But he could have been such an impactful guy to have for 4 years for IU. I think there's a slight chance that he could medical redshirt. Look into that. I'll look into that. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like he almost has a chance to. Would be interesting. Would be a great key guy for the next coaching staff. A good culture guy, if that is a possibility. If he even wants to, I could be speaking out of my rear end on that. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling something like that. So don't quote me on that. Another senior, obviously the impactful seniors that we have on this team, and another one just like Goody, one year to come in and play his final career in college. Omar Ballo, 9 points in this game, 4 for 9 from the field, 1 for 3 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds in a smaller 24 minutes for him. So he got a little bit more rest. Was more of a Malik game last night. Ohio State playing a little bit smaller with their bigs, doing a lot of switching on the outside. And I will say, he was pretty good in those switches. When IU was switching big to guard, defending, he did great on the perimeter. He did a good job of moving his feet, challenging the guys. He stepped off for a minute there. Bison coming in, telling me in the chat here. I'm going to interrupt that just to say Bison knows the research. Goody is 20 minutes over the medical red shirt. What a bummer. What a bummer. Maybe you can petition that. Who knows? So thanks for the on the time update there from the Bison. That'd be a bummer. But anyways, Ballo really felt like it wasn't kind of a game for him. So, I mean, he's been playing a lot of minutes recently, so it's good for him to get that rest. Liked what we did get out of him. Again, his game is so much better when Galloway is out there. That two-man game that they're able to play, the pick and roll situation is just so great. And then you add Goody in there as well when they can do the replace situation, that up screen to kind of trip guys up right after teams are kind of getting into a rhythm, watching Ballo and Galloway do those ball screens. Then you can mix Goody in, sweeping up and pass behind while the other two replace to the basket. Great dimensions that this team has found late and will hopefully be able to capitalize in the last little closing games that we've got going into the season. But a decent enough game for Ballo. And just speaking of his season overall, it was really that one turning point, that awkward point in the year where the picture came out of him being at the bars late and then he sat for the game and then came back from that. Whether it was a wake-up call, whether it's in the meetings or whatever, but he came back with fire. And we saw many games where he is definitely a true competitor and does not like to lose. He had one game, I think, where IU was that IU lost or was about to lose, where we had some of those bad possessions at the end of the game. One of the unfortunate times that Miles made mistake in judgment on it, and you saw them going to the bench and the cameras caught Ballo getting on Miles. So just a really big competitor, both literally and figuratively, a really big competitor, someone that just really wants to go out there and fight and has found probably another dimension to his game. And just add that to another list of bigs that have come to IU and have allowed IU to be a growing ground when you take that next step to the NBA, to giving you one more chance in a different environment to prove yourself and find a different part of your game. So I feel like he has definitely showed some things at IU that he wasn't able to show or didn't show at Arizona. So love that for the big man. And then what was even better and bigger to see was that his mom was able to be in attendance, mom coming over from Ghana and seeing him for the first time. She has never seen him play a college game in person. So that really special moment. That's great to see. Hoosier Nation's all about family and about that love and support. So love to see that. Love that for him and everything. And again, thankful for Ballo to come and finish out his career for IU. Miles Rice. I wanted to speak about Miles. He's found his niche for IU as of recent. He's found his fit for IU recently. It was earlier in the season when so much pressure was put on him to be that ball handler for IU, to be that creator for IU. And it's really kind of flipped where we now know that person that we thought Miles was going to need to be for IU is actually what Trey is for IU. Trey's that creator, Trey's that ball handler and everything for IU. That's taken pressure off Miles. And Miles is able to find his niche. And I think his niche more is being that second ball handler, that off-ball guy, that guy when Trey isn't in or whatever to bring the ball up and make those decisions. And he's got up and down offensive games. He's got games where you see him using his speed and getting in the fast break, which IU didn't in this game. IU didn't get in the break much, but using his speed to get downhill and all that wasn't for him in this game, but it will be in other points. But what he can consistently bring in games and what he brought in this one is his defense. his defense has been, and that tenacity on the first ball handler for the other team is what has brought him around recently. And it was like, as I said earlier, when we talked about Galloway, when he was sitting out with foul trouble, it was a lot of the defense that he was able to supply on Thornton that held off the scoring and allowed IU to rest and not lose Galloway in those moments and bring him in at the end to contribute. So it was really great. Coming off the bench for him in this one with 20 minutes of play, he had just 3 points on one 3-pointer made in the game. And there was really only one moment as well, I will say, because it's always been the criticism of me to him when he rushes the shots and tries to take one of those his long twos. And there's only really one moment in this game where I saw him go for that. So that was at least good to see. But you could see how he wasn't as aggressive in this game because he never got to the free throw line. So you didn't see that downhill threat from him in this one. And I think that's just due to Ohio State's really being physical on the defensive end and really didn't allow those windows to open up as much. But he did have 2 assists, just 1 turnover in this game. So an okay game for him, nothing crazy. But overall, just great effort in this game for IU. I do want to take one moment at least to speak about, because we didn't have shows for the West Coast tour of IU. Obviously, IU went into Washington, took care of business there. That was kind of as things were planned. Kind of went as we kind of expected it would be. A little bit of struggles because teams haven't done the best in the Big Ten traveling over there. The record isn't the greatest of teams going over to the West Coast, dealing with jet lag or whatever it be. The longer trip, I don't know what is sitting in a bus versus sitting in a jet for a couple hours, but whatever. Weird time change always does weird things for people, but we kind of knew that they would probably split those games. There'd be an opportunity with Oregon, but they would probably split them at least a little bit better for IU. What we really saw in this game at Oregon was a team that kind of battled it a little bit more, and in battling in that actually made the game a little tougher. To take for IU because it being in grasp. It was in grasp, and towards the end of the game, there was a chance at it. And it was what they didn't do at Oregon that cost them the game, but what they did do in this Ohio State game that won them the game. Staying tough, making those shots, staying tough on defense and rejecting any sort of rhythm or anything that the other team could get into, securing those rebounds going down the stretch. If they would have done what they did in Ohio State in this game, I have confidence that they would have won this Oregon game. There's no doubt about it. So disappointing that is, because obviously that would have been a big resume builder and would have put IU's tournament hopes in a lot stronger location, in a lot stronger place, in a more secure feeling. Obviously, right now, looking at different brackets, wherever you want to see, IU is probably in at an 11th seed. Whether they're in the play-in game, whether they're not, they're probably most likely in. Never know what these play-in games can happen, what else other teams are going to do. But I will say the best thing that IU did for their resume in this season was no bad losses. Not a single bad loss. Every single loss is a quad 1 loss. And IU took, and that being said, then IU took care of business on all the other 2. Quad 2, 3, and 4, all wins. Clean stat sheet there. That is not something that many other players can say. So when IU is going to have that difficult time and the selection committee is going to be looking at things, that's going to be a stat line that gives IU a distinct advantage against some other teams. When you see that there's none of those losses there. That clean slate there is really good. Switching back to get into a few stats in this game. Obviously, not a great stat sheet to look at in this game. Layups have been something that I've always harked on in the past. If you go back to different shows and past seasons and everything, one of the worst times this time, guys, for layups. 5 for 16 on layups in this game. It looked bad. It looked rough. There was definitely a lid on that basket, especially in the first half for this team, but 5 for 16 on layups is not good. What really kind of helped to save that was a 14 offensive rebounds. So IU was there at least to snag up the rebounds on a lot of those misses. But I think it contributed to them missing one and then rebounding it and then missing a second one. So one offensive rebound for 2 missed layups. I don't want that. I won't take that. But shooting 35% on the whole game. Ooh, ouch. 25% from 3 as well. Not a great thing, but 40 rebounds. Again, that was great to see. Again, if you missed your own layup, you're probably going to be there to catch your rebound. So 14 offensive rebounds for this team. Plus 13 on free throws. So that was good. Needed that. When you shoot abysmally like that, that's a stat that is very much needed to counteract that situation. But again, just overall, a great way to close out the season. Assembly Hall was blaring and excited, on their feet, ready to cheer, ready to explode too often that this team wasn't able to deliver on offense. There were some moments where some threes went up, some shots went up, and you could just feel the energy and the place ready to explode. But did explode at the end there when the team needed it to close it out. And it's those shots that you see of Leal just getting pumped up, looking at the student section as Assembly Hall is in its full-throated glory. That's great to see. It just warms your heart of a Hoosier Nation fan, and seeing Galloway, those slow motion shots after making that 3, pumping his fist and excited and screaming is great. What exhilarating feeling that must be for them to be in that uniform, be a senior, playing your last game, making big shots, and then just hearing the fans roar for you. Can't be a better feeling in the world. I love that for them. I'm so happy for them to have that moment through all the trials and tribulations that especially those two guys have gone through, and they've stayed unwavering. Despite comments and stuff that may have happened at the end of last season and all that kind of thing, they have stuck with it and they have fought, and their effort has never been in question. Overall, they may have games here and there. You may have different newscasters that aggravate you, questioning their off-court situations or other things like that. But on the court, these two have put their heart and soul into Hoosier Nation, and I applaud and thank them. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Anthony and Leal. You guys are two greats in Hoosier Nation history, and I appreciate everything you've done for the program. I appreciate everything you've done off the court for the program and for the community and everything. You guys both have big hearts. Anthony Leal especially, such a big-hearted man, a great person. If you're selling your house or need to get a house, look Anthony up. Love that pitch from him and everything. So thank you to the seniors and everything in that. Looking ahead, though, IU has secured the 9 seed in the Big Ten tournament, getting the bye in the first round, going up against, most likely, I think it's been set, but going against Oregon, a rematch there, going to be March 13th. It's a noon tip. I feel confident about this game. I'm also scared to say that as a Hoosier fan, as you know, but I feel more confident about this game. Coming on a neutral court now, rolling as they are. Let's make some noise there. Let's revenge that loss. Let's add to the tournament resume that we have. While we know that a lot of times conference tournaments are weighed in different ways for the selection committee. Sometimes they try to ignore it. If it's a good team, that they may have just had a down situation. Other times, if you're kind of in a precarious situation like IU kind of is in, it can be a positive. So let's get a win in this one. Let's win the next one after that. Let's do something that IU doesn't do. Let's win the Big Ten tournament. That'll definitely punch the card into the NCAA tournament, but we will see. So, like I said, that game coming up is March 13th at noon against Oregon. So we will see what kind of team we get coming out into that and what kind of effort, quick turnaround, big tournament as they go, getting us ready for the biggest tournament. So that'll do it for this edition of Hoosier Morning After. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for following Martha and I along in this 2024-2025 season. We still have a few more games, and then we'll be on coach watch for this team. So until then, guys, don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Follow me on Twitter at General Chadwick. Thank you for being here with me. We'll be back again the morning after the next show. Until then, go out there, have yourselves a wonderful day, and let's go Hoosiers.